Hello and welcome to a new edition of Planet Waves TV. My name is Eric Francis Coppolino, reporting in from the Broadway Lights Diner, here to talk about some unusual events that will take place next week, principally on Wednesday. I'm recording on Friday. Thursday was the Scorpio new moon. That seemed to pass by with all the usual fanfare suitable for another day on Earth in our lifetime. I covered that event last week and a few other places. Just as a reminder, there'll be a new edition of StarCast on Friday night, as well as a new edition of Planet Waves FM. Planet Waves FM is at planetwaves.fm, and I'll have a bunch of juicy stuff, including my response to an interview with a psychiatrist named Kelly Brogan, a new edition of the Miracle Hour, and a presentation on what one of my high school teachers taught me, Mr. Zornberg. What Mr. Zornberg taught me. All right, let's take a look at the forthcoming astrology. So we're in the new phase of the moon now. The first little teeny crescent has yet to appear as of this recording. So that should be by about Sunday. You'll get a glimpse at the new moon at sunset. But that's not the big exciting thing. The big exciting thing happens at right around the first quarter on Wednesday, the 10th, at 11:14 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I guess the clocks get turned back this weekend. And it's an alignment of Mercury, Mars, Saturn, and the moon. So this is a collection of mostly fast movers, right? Mercury, that's a quick mover, just on with retrograde. Mars, that's a pretty quick mover. That only takes 2 years. It's our closest neighbor. The moon is flipping through one sign every 2.5 days. So all fast movers except Saturn. Saturn is in Aquarius. As you know, it's going to be there till March 2023. And so there's a diversity of oh, was that too bright? I think that's too bright. Okay, a diversity of events. My f-stop here. Diversity of events surrounding Saturn and Aquarius, but this is the big interesting one. So, if you'll notice that on Wednesday there's an alignment of how do we do this here? What's the way to do this? Move this. How am I going to do this? Okay. Okay, Moon and Mercury and Mars. Can you see that? Can you see that? Kind of trying to get in close. I can't see what I'm doing though. But anyway, that's a conjunction of Mercury and Mars right there. Mercury and Mars. And then at the same exact time that happens, there's a conjunction of, can we see that? I can't tell, of the Moon and Saturn. So we would feel a Moon-Saturn conjunction. We would feel a Mercury-Mars conjunction, but now they're all happening in an exact alignment to one another. They're happening at 7 degrees and about 7.5 degrees of their respective signs, Mercury and Mars in Scorpio, and the Moon and Saturn in Aquarius. And notably, Saturn is in its domicile. Mars is in its domicile, meaning Mars rules Scorpio. Mars is in Scorpio. Saturn rules Aquarius. Saturn's in Aquarius. And so we've got two planets right in their domicile. This would not be viewed as a friendly event by most classical astrologers, because you've got the two quote-unquote malefics in a square, and they're both very powerful, vying for supremacy. And then into that we move these even more sensitive human planets, Mercury making a conjunction to Mars and the Moon making a conjunction to Saturn. So there's themes here like anger, frustration, deeply held passions, blocked expression of things. And in many ways, this typifies the situation of frustration that we find ourselves in right now, where it seems as if most people are pretty darn lost when it comes to actually understanding the nature of the reality that we are experiencing. Of course, it's not a pretty reality. And if you start to break it down, it starts to sound a little tinfoil hattish. But if you just open your eyes and look right at it, it's like, well, there actually is a UFO on the lawn. It is not a Chevrolet. It's not a Toyota. That thing has got like lights going around and it's hovering silently. And the challenge that we face here in this time of illusions is to look right at things and see what they are. And I think that when you have a kind of a crunch point event like we're about to have this weekend, and it is already in process, it's already happening. These squares have a way of triggering and precipitating developments of some kind, actions and choices of some kind. But whatever is in motion is currently in motion. It's all already happening, and we're seeing it. But again, the challenge of our times right now is actually being able to open our eyes and look and see. And we collectively are having a hard time with that, and those who are able to open their eyes and see are not treated in a friendly manner by a fairly large portion of the population. But then if you start to have real conversations with people, you're going to find out there's a lot of folks who actually are paying attention and are able to see what's going on more or less for what it is. But I think that we talk about this event on Wednesday. There's going to be, I think, something that makes it plain what the situation is. If you have planets in early fixed signs, pay attention. This could be a little bit more about you. All right, so that's brewing, and I think of these things as events where the pressure is not on necessarily right now, but then slowly, as it approaches, the pressure is on and increases, and kind of like a piston pushing down on gas in the piston, and then like it's increasing the volatility and the propensity to blow up. So be cool. And take it easy. Mostly, take it easy on yourself. Squares often represent an internal dynamic of some kind, rather than one that's expressed in relationships. Though, of course, internal dynamics are often what are projected into relationships, and so that's one of the challenges: is to be aware of this process of taking your own conflict and inserting it into relationships. And by the way, for those who tune into Tantra Studio tonight, I'll be reflecting on Kelly Brogan, who has made some similar comments in regards to her own erotic journey, it being somewhat courageous for a psychiatrist to come out and talk about this, particularly someone who is famously one of the disinformation dozen, as highlighted by the New York Times. Okay, so also let's just do a couple of quick reminders of what is brewing in the planets right now. One of the things that makes the Moon, Saturn, Mercury, Mars alignment what it is is that there's another square going on, which is Saturn in this long square to Uranus. That has one event left, and though it's not exact, I'm not sure when it happens, later in the year or early next year. It's still in the background of everything. It's still kind of hanging out, and what I like to use the Sanskrit word, the Rita, the all that there is. It's still in there. So that Saturn-Uranus square is another kind of a clash or action point between a planet that is one planet, Uranus, that's connected with irrational, unpredictable, potentially inventive type of developments, and Saturn, which is more about not only the status quo, but changing the status quo in steady and incremental ways, whereas Uranus just likes to, blow the shit up. And is not necessarily that concerned with the outcomes of things. Saturn and Uranus find their resolution in in Chiron. And we talk about what Saturn and Uranus are about. I keep mentioning this whole struggle that our culture and indeed our world is in understanding where the individual meets society, and the kinds of burdens that are being placed on individuals that have nothing to do with individual responsibility, but people are being told that they do. They're being told that they're at fault in some way. We're now going to be getting into injecting children with an experimental substance. Notably, Pfizer has had the compassion to put a blood thinner in its version of the mRNA injection, because they've had so many problems with thrombosis and blood clots and brain bleeds and myocarditis that they are putting a blood thinner in. So now, if you do the supposedly right thing and bring your 5-year-old in to get shot up with Pfizer, they're also getting a dose of blood thinner. How long that works, I don't know. Usually you have to take a blood thinner every day. You don't just take a shot of it and then that's it. You're good. And so I wonder what happens when the blood thinner wears off. More on that on tonight's Planet Waves FM. But the propaganda now is being directed at children. You, little kid, have a responsibility to save the whole school. And this is a very frightening thing to put into a young, impressionable mind. Among the many reasons for that is should someone die, they are likely to take on the blame. This was a situation last year where the ongoing constant refrain was "save grandma." Well, grandma's going to die one way or the other, and a child who's being told over and over again that they have to save grandma is likely to think that they killed grandma. Should grandma do what happens naturally to all of us and to grandma, which is to die. So the individual clashing with the collective, and we see this, by the way, in the Mars Saturn square, Mercury Moon square, all happening at the same time. This emphasizes that theme, and it is. Look, fortunately there's Scorpio, and fortunately this aspect is so focused and so emphasized, all taking place again within 1/10 of a degree. We're getting a lot of this lately, where the aspect pattern takes place within a sixth of a degree. Where we're splitting a degree into fractions in any case, rather than counting whole degrees, or wide and sloppy aspects might be 10 degrees apart. We're now splitting degrees on almost every single event, similar to the Mars-Pluto-Eris configuration from 2 weeks ago. This is that close, but it is all three of the 4 points are very fast-moving points, and so this looks like some coming to a head, some rising to a kind of a psychic and maybe even physical collision of the personal and the collective. And I would call on people to be a little more curious and skeptical about this. I've been watching a series of lectures on Ben Franklin, who I thought I knew a little bit about. Turns out I didn't really know anything about Ben Franklin, and the spirit of questioning and skepticism, which characterizes the Enlightenment mind, and which also characterizes the scientific mind. Scientific mind is not supposed to believe anything, and so it's not enough to just simply say science said so. I read something somewhere that said that. Anyone who brings up what they're claiming to be a scientific fact of some kind had better be in a position to provide some documentation about that, to provide a little evidence of their viewpoint, at least to be able to discuss the concepts in the study, and not just say, well, there's this study, and oh, by the way, I just trust authority. That's how the Pope works. That's how all religious cults work. It's just about trust the dear leader, trust authority, but authority has not found itself to be trustworthy. not now, and frankly, not ever that I'm aware of. The world wouldn't be in the condition that it's in, were all these people in authority so trustworthy. They are plainly not trustworthy, but also people have a hard time standing up to any challenge. And so this Mars, Mercury, Moon, Saturn is the kind of thing that looks almost like it's like a family matter. It looks very private and personal, but because we've got Saturn and Aquarius in the mix, we're talking about something that can actually be part of a much larger process. And then Saturn is still working its way into a square with Uranus, an even much larger process where it is possible that all of these notions of fiat science and science by press release and the assertions of corporations, all of whom today are litigating multi-million-dollar lawsuits against them for liability, or who have committed absolutely atrocious acts historically, are now the ones that many people are thinking, well, we'll just believe what they say. They're trying to inject 98% of the population with a thing that causes blood clots and damages blood cells and causes coronary inflammation for our own good. It was occurring to me on the drive over here that people don't really understand what tyranny is. If you don't think that somebody coming after your 5-year-old with an injection that's known to cause blood clots, proof of which is the blood thinner in the preparation, you need to read your history and you need to learn what tyranny is, because apparently those people do not know and do not understand the concept that anyone coming after you with a needle or anyone forcing you to do anything is not a free society. And there are people saying, well, we don't need freedom right now. Well, that's the line of people taking away freedom. Well, freedom is too dangerous right now. You don't need to be free right now. You need to do what we say right now. Buy our product and you'll be fine. But this is a formula for slavery. I mean, how many boosters will it take for people to figure out that if they don't get their booster, therefore they can't have their job or their paycheck, that is a form of enslavement, plain on its face. So let's see what emerges next week. The issue here is that every week that goes by, there are huge revelations, and I think that as huge as these revelations are, the awakening process of simple skepticism takes a while, and it would seem that the mind should be the most flexible substance in the world. But it turns out to be one of the most rigid substances in the world. And here we have, two very powerful fixed signs populated with planets about to, let's just say, intersect and possibly collide with one another. And when that happens, and especially when you've got a lot of action on Saturn, the question is, what gives? And something always has to give, and it would be easier if humans were more prone to be reflective of their situation and questioning of what they think of as their knowledge, rather than being so cocksure in what they think they know, and without the facts and without the law, just pounding the table and saying a scientist said it. Scientists said it. We've acquired a Tony Fauci devotional candle. It's currently burning in the Planet Waves office till it burns down low enough to be more photogenic. But it's Fauci dressed up in priestly garb. I guess with a scepter. I can't quite exactly remember, but he's looking very liturgical or papal, kind of like Pope Fauci. I learned about these because a news reporter pointed out that he keeps them on his own bookshelf. He has his Fauci devotional candles on his own bookshelf. So you can order them on Etsy. You too can light the candle and lay incense on the altar of science. No, that's not how it works. Science is about asking questions. All right, I'll leave you with this, and I'm about to do a briefer special recording for Sagittarius, warming up the Sun's ingress into Sag in 2 weeks, and the Sag new moon in a little under 1 month. Again, there'll be a new Starcast at starcast.fm. And I'll have a new edition of Planet Waves FM tonight, usually post by 10, much earlier most of the time, at planetwaves.fm. Signing off from the Broadway Lights Diner in Kingston, New York. My name's Eric Francis, and I'll catch you on a different day. Bye for now.